10 days was enough time to finish a building, but not enough time to forget who tried to burn it down. Johnny stood on the sidewalk outside the new Violet Edge and let himself feel something he rarely allowed: satisfaction. The building rose 3 stories above Merchants Row, its facade clean steel and dark glass, neon signs cutting through bright city's perpetual haze in deep purple and gold. Nothing flashy, nothing cheap, just a statement that said permanence. They were here, they were staying. Clean up that corner? He pointed to a smudge on the lower window where a construction worker had left a handprint. Cameron scrambled to fix it. Tony, how are we looking inside? Tony emerged from the front entrance, data pad in hand. Restaurant is fully stocked. Chefs ready, staff is trained, club is operational, lighting, sound, the works. 3rd floor offices are set up. Security systems are green across the board. He looked up. We're ready. Good. Tonight we open. Word had spread across 3 districts the way word always spread in Bright City: fast, exaggerated, and impossible to stop. The Union Underground was opening a new establishment. Johnny Hazard was throwing a party. Every syndicate, every independent operator, every business owner under their protection had received an invitation. Even the Kravicks had gotten one, more as a statement than an expectation. The guest list was a map of Bright City's criminal landscape. By evening, Merchants Row was busier than it had been since before the Violet Edge burned. Vehicles lined the street. Beings of a dozen species moved toward the entrance where Vincent stood at the door, immaculate in a dark jacket, looking like a polished wall. Patricia and 2 of the newer recruits handled security checks, professional and efficient. Johnny greeted guests in the restaurant on the ground floor. Real food, actual Earth imports alongside local cuisine. Prepared by a synth chef who jumped at the chance to work somewhere that paid on time. The space was warm and well lit, designed to feel like neutral ground even though it was anything but. Sareth arrived early, his multiple eyes cataloging everything with obvious approval. Impressive, Mr. Hazard, you've built something substantial here. We're just getting started, Johnny gestured to a table. Eat, drink. Everything's on the house tonight? The information broker settled in with a pleased expression. I do enjoy working with people who understand hospitality. Representatives from the Obsidian Hand arrived next, not Shade himself, but 2 Wraith operatives who moved through the crowd like shadows at a garden party. They accepted drinks without comment and found a corner table that gave them sightlines to every exit. Johnny respected that. The Variant Cartel sent a mid-level representative, which told Johnny exactly where they stood, interested enough to attend, too proud to send someone important. Fine, that would change. The Kravicks sent nobody, also fine. Their absence was its own message, and so was his willingness to invite them anyway. Independent operators filled the remaining tables. The Synth Gambling Collective, the transport companies, the data brokerage, all the businesses that had signed protection contracts. They mingled with civilians and legitimate merchants who'd simply heard there was a new restaurant on Merchants Row. The mix was intentional. Johnny wanted the Union Underground to be a place where normal people came to spend money, not just criminals conducting business. Legitimacy was a ladder. You climbed it 1 rung at a time. By midnight, the club on the 2nd floor was packed. Music that cost real money to license filled the space. The bar moved premium liquor at prices that felt reasonable, but added up to serious income. Lisa, dressed in civilian clothes for once, monitored the crowd from a position near the bar with her one good eye tracking everything. Johnny found Tony on the 3rd floor, away from the noise. First night numbers, Tony said, handing over the pad. Restaurant's already cleared 4,000 credits. Club is on track for 8,000 before close. At this rate, 1 good weekend covers our operating costs for the month. That's the point, Johnny set the pad down. The Violet Edge funds everything else. It's not just a headquarters, it's the engine. Speaking of which, Tony leaned against the wall. The warehouse moved 60,000 credits worth of goods this week. The protection contracts are pulling in 18,000 a month steady. We're not rich, but we're stable. Stable. That word mattered more to Johnny than any battle won. Stability meant growth. Growth meant power. Power meant the next time a syndicate tried to destroy them, it would cost more than they were willing to pay. I want to talk to the crew tomorrow morning, Johnny said. All of them. There are things we need to build before we think about expanding further. Like what? Like the infrastructure to handle what we're becoming. The morning meeting filled the warehouse floor. 53 members arranged in loose rows, the core crew up front. Johnny stood before them without notes, having worked through everything in his head during 3 hours of poor sleep. "We've been at this for about 6 weeks," he began. "We started with 5 people and a plan to take one building. Now we have 2 locations, multiple revenue streams, and over 50 members. The 3 biggest syndicates in Bright City tried to destroy us and failed." He paused. "None of that matters if we don't build correctly from here." The room was quiet. Even Vincent was paying attention. "We're going to make 2 major changes to how we operate. The first is strike teams." Johnny pulled up a diagram on the warehouse's main screen, his own rough design cleaned up by Cameron overnight. "Right now, when trouble hits, we throw everyone at it. That's expensive, messy, and leaves our businesses unprotected. Strike teams change that." He pointed to the diagram. 3 teams of 6, each team trained specifically for high-risk operations. Extraction, infiltration, direct action. They don't run deliveries. They don't work the door at the club. They train, they plan, and when something needs doing that regular security can't handle, they handle it. "Who leads them?" Patricia asked. "That's what we're figuring out today. I need people who can plan and execute without hand-holding." Johnny looked at the room. "This isn't about rank, it's about capability. If you think you can lead a strike team, talk to Tony after this meeting. He'll run evaluations next week." He let that settle before moving on. "The second change is an economics division." Johnny clicked to the next screen, a simple organizational chart. "Right now I'm making every financial decision myself. That doesn't scale. I need people focused entirely on money, how we make it, how we protect it, how we grow it." "Accountants," Tony said with a slight smile. "Strategists, there's a difference." Johnny faced the room. "The economics division tracks every credit coming in and going out. They identify new revenue opportunities. They analyze when we're ready to expand and when we're not. And they answer one question above everything else: is what we're doing sustainable?" Ven raised a hand. "I have some background in financial analysis, pre-Bright City." "I know. You're heading it." Johnny had already decided that. "I need 2 or 3 others with relevant skills. Anyone with business, accounting, or trade experience should talk to Ven." Sylth raised a tentacle. "I handled supply chain accounting for a pharmaceutical operation before things went sideways." "Talk to Ven." Danny Rourke leaned forward from his seat near the back. "I managed cargo manifests and profit margins for 3 shipping companies. Does that count?" "Absolutely." "Talk to Ven. Here's the philosophy behind all of this." Johnny set down the data pad and spoke plainly. "We don't need to be the biggest organization in Bright City. We don't need to move the fastest or take the most territory. What we need is to be the most stable. Every move we make has to stick. If we take territory, we hold it. If we make a deal, we keep it. If we build something, it lasts." He looked around the room. "The syndicates that tried to kill us grew fast and got sloppy. We grow slow and get solid. Any questions?" Cameron raised his hand. "What about expanding the surveillance network? Right now we've got eyes on 3 districts. I could push that to 6 with the right equipment. Put it in front of the economics division first. If the numbers make sense, we do it." Johnny nodded at him. "That's exactly the kind of thinking I want." The meeting broke up with purpose. People gathered in small clusters, talking, planning. Johnny watched it happen and felt the organization shifting under him, less like a gang, more like something real. Over the following week, the changes took hold faster than he expected. Ven assembled his economics division with quiet efficiency, establishing tracking systems and financial protocols that immediately identified 2 areas of unnecessary spending. The savings weren't dramatic, but the principle was solid. They were watching the money now. Strike team evaluations produced 9 strong candidates from the crew. Tony ran them through 3 days of tactical exercises and psychological assessments. His own design, rough but effective. 3 team leaders emerged. Patricia Vance for Team 1, a human former soldier named Ray Kowalski who joined 3 weeks ago with impressive credentials, and Mock, the elder Grack's brother, whose instincts in the field had proven exceptional. Each team spent the remainder of the week training. Patricia drilled her team on building entry and close quarters work. Kowalski focused on vehicle operations and rapid extraction. Mock's team, all aliens, practiced communication across language barriers and specialized in surveillance and quiet operations. The Violet Edge continued performing. Second week revenue exceeded the first. The restaurant developed a lunch crowd from legitimate businesses nearby. The club became the place to be seen on Merchants Row. Even beings who had no connection to criminal organizations came to spend money, which was precisely the point. On the 8th day after opening, Ven's economics division delivered their first formal report. Johnny read it in his third-floor office, Lisa sitting across from him. They're projecting 90,000 credits monthly within 60 days if current trends hold, he said. That's real money. Lisa studied her copy. They're also flagging the Northern Protection Territory as underperforming. Two businesses aren't generating enough foot traffic to justify the security costs. Solution: consolidate the patrol routes and redirect resources to the 3 higher-earning clients in that sector. Lisa set down the report. Ven's people think we could cut security costs by 12% without reducing actual protection quality. Tell him to implement it. Johnny set the report aside. This is what I wanted. Eyes on the details so I can keep my head up. On the 10th day, the Union Underground did something that had nothing to do with violence. A transport company under their protection, run by a Grax operator named Duveth, had a shipment seized by Kravik's enforcers at a border checkpoint. Not a random theft, a deliberate message. The Kraviks were testing the edges of the non-aggression understanding, seeing if the Union Underground would fight over something minor. Johnny didn't send strike teams. He sent Ven. The Thulian spent 4 hours in the Gray Archive, meeting with 3 different information brokers and 2 legal advocates. He emerged with documentation proving the shipment contained nothing contraband, a formal complaint filed with Bright City's nominal port authority, and most crucially, evidence that the Kravik's enforcers who seized the goods had done so without syndicate authorization. They'd gone freelance, skimming goods for personal profit. Johnny forwarded the documentation to Kravik's leadership directly. The shipment was returned within 6 hours. The 2 freelancing enforcers disappeared, presumably dealt with internally. And the Kraviks, for the first time, sent a brief formal acknowledgement, not an apology, but an acknowledgement that the Union Underground had handled the matter correctly. Tony read the message 3 times. They're respecting the process. Because we used the process, we didn't shoot anyone, we didn't blow anything up. Johnny leaned back. We just proved we could solve a problem without making a war out of it. That's worth more than another body count. The businesses are going to hear about this. That's the point. Word did spread. Within 2 days, 4 new businesses approached the Union Underground about protection contracts. Not because they'd won a battle, because they'd resolved a dispute professionally. Johnny signed all 4 after Ven's team verified their financial legitimacy. That evening, sitting in his third-floor office with the city glittering below, Johnny's comm buzzed. The synthesized voice. The Duveth situation, it said without preamble. That was unexpected. I handle problems the most effective way available. Sometimes that's a gun. Sometimes it's paperwork. Most organizations in Bright City wouldn't know the difference. A pause longer than usual. You've built something genuinely interesting, Johnny. Strike teams. An economic structure, conflict resolution through legitimate channels. You're not building a syndicate. No, I'm building something better. Yes, another pause. I think it's time we met. Johnny kept his voice even. I'm listening. There's a place in the outer ring called the Meridian Club, private, neutral, well-managed, tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. Come alone, and if it's a trap, if I wanted you dead, you'd have been dead 6 weeks ago. I've had 3 opportunities you don't even know about. The voice lost its synthetic flatness for just a moment, something almost genuine underneath. I'm not an enemy, Johnny. I've never been an enemy. What are you? Someone who's been waiting a long time for the right person to come along. The call ended. Johnny set the comm down and looked out at Bright City. Tony appeared in the doorway a few minutes later, reading his expression. The voice. We're meeting tomorrow night, Tony straightened. Then we prepare. I'm not letting you walk into the outer ring alone based on a phone call. I won't be alone. Johnny stood and moved to the window. But whoever's behind that voice, they've been steering things since our first night. The warning about the Kravik's assault, the intelligence on the syndicate meeting, the construction site tip. He traced the city's light patterns with his eyes. They want us to succeed, Tony. I don't know why yet. But tomorrow night I'm going to find out. Below on Merchants Row, the violet edge glowed in gold and purple, its neon signs cutting through the haze. People moved toward it from 3 directions, customers, clients, partners. The restaurant was full. The club was warming up for another strong night. 6 weeks ago, this corner had belonged to the Kraviks. Now it was the most recognizable address in the district. and the Union Underground's name was spoken with a respect that hadn't been there before. Johnny watched his city, because it was his city now, or at least the beginning of it, and felt the familiar weight of what came next. Whoever was waiting at the Meridian Club tomorrow night, whatever they wanted, whatever deal they intended to offer or price they expected to collect, Johnny Hazard would be ready. He always was.